Shabbat Shalom, this is Larry Mitchell with Friends of Israel. We're continuing our verse-by-verse study through the apocalypse of Jesus Christ. Today we are going to be looking at the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, which is death and disease. Revelation 6, 7, and 8. When Jesus opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades or Hell followed with him. And power was given to them over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and by the beasts of the earth. Pestilences are the natural outcome of war. As World War I drew to an end, an influenza pandemic broke out. More people would die from the flu virus than would die from the wounds suffered in the trenches. In an article, Virus from Stanford University, we have this. The influenza pandemic of 1918-1919 killed more people than the Great War, known today as World War I, at somewhere between 20 and 40 million people. It has been cited as the most devastating epidemic in recorded world history. More people died of influenza in a single year than in 4 years of the Black Plague, or the bubonic plague, from 1347 to 1351, known as the Spanish flu, or La Grippe influenza of 1918-1919, which was a global disaster. Remembered last week, the third horseman was starvation. Pandemics thrive during times of famines. Your immune system weakens if you are not eating enough food. During the Irish potato famine of 1847, more people died of disease than from hunger. This is from WashingtonHistory.org, article on the Irish potato famine. From a sample of 7,000 people who died in West Cork in 1847, we know that 44% died of fever, 34% died of starvation, and 22% died of dysentery. Relatively few died from actual starvation, the majority succumbing to diseases which were collectively described by one medical observer as sort of a famine poison. Pandemics are also caused by sinful lifestyle. An article from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, entitled HIV Amongst Gay, Bisexual, and Other Men Who Have Sex with Men, we read gay, bisexuals, and other men who have sex with men, MSM, represent approximately 2% of the U.S. population, yet are the population most severely affected by HIV and are the only risk group in which new HIV infections have been increasing steadily since the early 1990s. In 2006, MSM accounted for more than half, 53%, of all new HIV infections in the United States, and MSM with a history of injection drug use, MSM-IDU, accounted for an additional 4% of new infections. At the end of 2006, more than half, 53%, of all people living with HIV in the United States were MSM or MSM-IDU. There's also a real danger of bioterrorism. From the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, we read, "What is bioterrorism? A bioterrorism attack is the deliberate release of viruses, bacteria, or other germ agents used to cause illness or death in people, animals, or plants. These agents are typically found in nature, but it is possible that it could be changed to increase their ability to spread disease, make them resistant to current medicines, or to increase their ability to spread into the environment. Biological agents can be spread through the air, through water, or in food. Terrorists may use biological agents because they can be extremely difficult to detect and do not cause illnesses for several hours to several days. Some bioterrorism agents, like smallpox virus, can be spread from person to person, and some, like anthrax, cannot. One of the birth pangs of the Messiah is pestilences. Matthew 24:3. Now as Jesus said on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and end of the age?" Jesus' answer is recorded in Matthew 24:7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in various places." Pestilences is an Old English word for pandemics, and an increase in pandemics is one of the birth pangs of the Messiah. I know a man who is suggesting that we are living in the tribulation period today. He believes when the worldwide epidemic and lockdowns came in 2020, the Fourth Horseman of the apocalypse had been released. I pointed out the current epidemic cannot be the Fourth Horseman of the apocalypse for two reasons. Number one, the restrainer has not been removed. 2 Thessalonians 2:5-8. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? And now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way, and then that lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The first rider of the horsemen brought the Antichrist, and the Antichrist has not been released yet. And since the Antichrist has not been released, has not been revealed yet, then the fourth horseman has not ridden forth either. Secondly, 1/4 of the world's population will die during the tribulation period's pestilence. We have not seen 2 billion people die in the current plague. The tribulation epidemic will be far more severe than even the Black Death or the Spanish flu. Revelation 6:8, So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades or hell followed with him. And power was given to them over 1/4 of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and the beasts of the earth. Mainstream media has caused worldwide panic because of the current epidemic and lockdown. Chances are that you have been very angry and frightened with the current pandemic. It's hard to imagine how widespread the terror will be when the real pandemic strikes, when 2 billion people die. What happened in 2020 is just a mild foretaste of what is coming. You don't want to be left behind to face the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I think the application is very, very simple. If you've never received Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you need to do it today. He is coming soon. He will pour out the wrath of God upon the ungodly. For the sake of your soul, put your trust in the Messiah today. This is Larry Mitchell. Shabbat Shalom.